Hello everybody, welcome. I'm just checking some of these pots that I've recently thrown and trimmed. These are pots that I'm working on, as I told you the other day, I'm working on trying to get some work together for an exhibition in New York, so I'm finding some old designs that I've worked on in the past, old shapes and things, and bringing them back to life as you do, you know. So I've got a couple actually to do here. These are a couple of bigger pots that I did that were just, in fact this one you saw me make. This was the one, in fact, that I had to make 2 attempts at. Funnily enough, after I'd thrown this one, I came out the following morning and I found that it had frozen on. I left it on the wheel actually, and it had frozen. It was all covered all over with, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen a pot when it's frozen, a freshly thrown pot. It gets all these kind of cracks all over it and everything. So I had to rework it and smooth it all and try to get rid of them. I think I've succeeded. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to trim a foot on the underside of this, and also just remove a little bit of material just here on the side, because I feel that it could do with a little bit removed. So I was going to go over to the wheel head now, and we'll set this one up here, and we'll trim it. I'll put him. Let's bring this in a bit, and we'll drop him down. To about there. So, in fact, I'm going to move it to there. Alright. So in order to trim this, of course, if I were to put him upside down like that, I would run risk, although I do occasionally. Excuse me. If you want to be a bit of a daredevil, you can tap center and you can trim, but I don't. Maybe better not to show you that as an example, although I do it myself sometimes. So we're going to take a chuck, and this is a useful tool that you can have in your toolkit, and you should have a chuck. Because they're so useful and so easy to make, you see. So what we're going to do is just take a wad of clay, alright, and then we're just going to make sure he's on center. Hold him down and then just finger press the clay, yeah, around. All you're going to need is 3. 3 should do it. Alright, so you want to divide it into 3. Don't forget, put your hand on it before you finger press this clay to the wheel head. Okay, so we got him fixed. What we're then going to do is we're going to take the pot and invert the pot. You see, so that the neck is protected inside. Now we're going to, he's basically on centre, but he could be off centre like that, you see, so we've got to centralise him up here at the top as much as we can. In actual fact, this chuck is not 100% round. It got slightly overlated at some point in its when it was made. But I'm going to keep my finger on the top there, and we're just going to remove some material just from the side here, you see. Now I'm using this kind of broader tool because this is good for doing flatter, larger areas where you want to remove material. I've got a little piece of plastic here which I'm just going to put on the top there for now, and then I'm going to wet my finger. There's different ways of what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to apply some downward pressure, you see. It's a bit hard, this actually, perhaps. I'm not really removing a lot of material. Okay, I'm going to, are we in the picture? Oh, we're a little bit. Maybe I'll put the tripod up a touch. Like that. Alright. So I'm going to cut into the foot. He's not, that's it, now he's better. So this is a trimmed foot, but just trimmed out on the inside. He's moving a little bit in the chuck. You see him wobbling a little bit. That's because he's got a little bit of, as I say, that chuck. I should actually make another one. It's funny, isn't it, how you make something or you have a tool and it's like sort of, it's 85% good but 15% bad. And logic would tell you, well, throw the darn thing away and make another one. But you know, you don't, do you, necessarily? You carry on with it. You sort of accommodate its 15% when you really should just sling it and make another one, which is what I should do. Perhaps we should do a clip on chucks. different kind of chucks. They're definitely worth having, you see, because you use them, and once you've made your chuck, you can bisque fire it, and then you've got it for, well, you've got it forever, haven't you? All right, so there we have a carved inner foot. So I just want to have a look at the general shape of the pot. It's probably ready now for a seal. La la la. Yeah, so now before you put a seal on a pot, you want to be careful that, especially if you've trimmed it out like I have done, if you're just going to push on that, if you're not careful, it could take you by surprise and just push straight through, break the bottom of the pot. If it's not been thrown thick enough, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not 100% sure how thick it is really. So I don't want to run the risk of. Now another alternative would be to put the seal here on the side, and that I could do, and I do quite often. It just depends. It does run the risk that if the glaze comes down, it's then probably likely going to cover over the seal. I don't mind that so long as, and sometimes if the glaze does come down over the seal, after I've glazed it, I just give it a gentle rub where the seal is. That is if you know where the seal is. Usually there's a hint there and you can see the seal pushing through a bit. So I usually just give it just a gentle rub to rub away a little bit of the glaze where the seal is, so that the seal can show through the glaze. Okay, but in this case, actually, I want to seal on the inside, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingernail. You don't have to use your fingernail; you can use your needle tool if you prefer. But I'm just going to make a very gentle little bit of scratching here. I'm going to key the surface, you see, just there a little bit like that, and then put a drop of water on that. Then I'm going to take a lump of clay like this, and I'm not going to use all that, just going to take a little piece. Alright, roll it into a small ball like that, you see. We're going to put that onto that little keyed area. Alright, now we're just going to press that down gently over the keyed area. Like that. So what we have done in effect is to put a soft pad, a very small soft pad of clay, just in that area there where we want to impress the seal into. Now ideally you can leave that for 5 minutes now, but we haven't got 5 minutes, have we? So I'm now going to take the seal, impress it into that soft little pad of clay. And there it is. Alright, that's just one example of how to do it. It can look quite nice. The fresh seal in in the soft clay. Alright, so we're going to pull back the camera now. Now I'm not sure, in all honesty, whether this pot is going to make it through the bisque firing. Because of that frosting and everything that happened to it, it looks okay at the moment. But all could be revealed in the bisque, and it could come out with lots of fine cracks. So, I mean, I might have been tempted to flute it, but I don't think I'm going to put in that amount of time into this pot, not knowing, you know. So, now I do have another pot, which is a little softer. I also need to remove just a little material here. Now, if you have a pot that's got a soft, generally pots are a little bit softer on the bottom than on the top, even though we take trouble to turn them upside down, and you know, they can have a tendency to be. So in which case you want to put something like a piece of plastic like that there, and using, I should say, the piece of plastic there is to stop the bottom depressing in, you see, because the pressure of my finger as I remove clay, like I'm doing, is likely to push down push the bottom in, so the plastic spreads the load, you see. So I'm using this tool again, just narrowing the foot a touch and just removing some of this base clay here. Now you might say, well Simon, why are you using that tool? Why aren't you using your usual tool? Well, you know, I mean, I could use this tool as well. Incidentally, you will notice clay, when it's soft, it trims away differently than when it's hard or when it's just right. If it tends to be rather on the soft side, it will tend to collect on the cutting edge of the trim tool. It'll collect there as a sort of lump and doesn't flow off. This, as I say, is I have a broader contact area with this tool than I do with this smaller tool. So for larger surfaces like this, I prefer this kind of tool. I will put a bevel here on the corner. Break your corners with a bevel. Always a good idea. Strengthens the corner here. Also makes it less aggressive towards furniture. I'm going to carry on with that one, finish the form, the shape. Uncertain whether I will actually carve out the base like I did with this one. On this one I probably may not. Okay, visit my website simonleachpottery.com and keep practicing, because that is the secret. There are no secrets to learning any skill. Really, you need some good teaching, and you need to put in some good time, and that's the practicing part. So if you want to improve, practice. See you soon. Bye bye.